Well, good afternoon, folks. I hope you're riding safe in all this snow, and that means salt. It's horrible, isn't it? So if you've been watching my little video series about the Yamaha Diversion, you'll know all about never change your tyres. This is the engine sitting on a little wooden wheeled trolley, which I made along with a young boy at the time who is still very dear to me and who actually still lives with me. And we made it out of hefty bits of wood and wheels with bearings and everything. So I'll show you it later on in this video. So the engine is now on the trolley and you can see it's pretty filthy. So now is the time to be using traffic film remover and some scrubbing brushes and things to get all this 30 years of filth off the front of the engine, because it's quite clearly never been out of the frame. So it's sitting on the trolley. I'm going to digress slightly here, indulge me. There is a little brass plaque I had made when we made it. It's the Once-Mobile Mark II, it's the second version. And if you can identify the word Onceler, you get extra points. New was when Matthew was a little baby and he couldn't say Matthew, he used to say Matnu. And it became shortened to New. And then at the time his grandma pointed out a picture of me on a band poster and she said, "Who's that?" "It's James, isn't it?" And he said, "Guy." And she said, "No, James, say James." And he looked at her and said, "Guy." So 21 years later, Matthew celebrated his 21st a couple of days ago. He's still New and I'm still Guy. So there it is on the Once-Mobile Mark II, upside down. Now, what I did, I've had some dummy runs of trying to fit a frame to the engine when it's lying on its side, because I'm going to get a replacement frame for the bike, having sawn off the old one, obviously, grinded it off. And I found it was easier to remove the sump and the inlet manifolds to give more clearance to just nicely slide that frame on. So that is the state of the sump. So as you can see, some of that's brake fluid from trying to get that fiendish bolt out, but a lot of it's just muck and filth over the years, chain grease, that sort of thing. So it's the ideal time to give that sump a really good clean as well. So I've ordered a new gasket. I don't use that tube squirty stuff, I just don't rate it. So I've ordered a new gasket and there is the gasket surface on the engine cleaned. I use a standard knife blade dragged backwards. Not to cut, because if you use it on the cutting way, then you're going to cut the aluminium. So I find that they can be tricky to get off, actually, old gaskets, especially ones that have never been off. But anyway, spent half an hour scraping all that gasket off. That's the actual sump. And ready for the new gasket, which I've ordered. £8. I do know a subscriber recently put a comment, he's got a laser thing for cutting gaskets that cost about 20p, but needs must. Now the sump and the oil filter assembly have these delightful things, which are hex bolts with a removable crossed screw in the middle. I don't know why, really. It seems odd. If you're going to do an oil change, you just remove the whole thing, wouldn't you? So I don't know what this screw in the middle's all about. This next shot shows the actual oil filter assembly, and that's where the pipes come off to the oil radiator. So you can see that's filthy as well. So that's going to get the TFR treatment. That's it with the pipes attached. I've subsequently removed those. And then what I plan on replacing them with are these things here, which are magnetic sump plugs. So for the Diversion, they're M14 1.5 thread. They are on most bikes, actually. I've done them on the Honda, on the Pan-European gearbox. I've done the engine and also the rear differential gearbox on that using these, because they've got a little magnet, as you can see, one of these rare earth ones, really strong. So when you do an oil change, you might find a bit of fuzz on them, which is just very, very fine metal particles, and it just takes them out of the oil. And look at that, $2.39. I bought 2 of them. I didn't even do a best offer because at that price it's, reasonable just to pay that. Of course, they're £8 each in Britain. I then took off the inlet manifolds, which are also filthy. Now you can see on the surface that can't be seen on them, so they're pointing downwards, I've actually inscribed with a little pointer thing which cylinder they relate to, because I don't want to get them mixed up. Then I looked at the frame, the old frame, and there's an upgrade. These have ball bearing, top and bottom steering head bearings on them. Now, if you look at that tube, the steering head tube, there's no purchase to tap anything against that from the opposite side to tap the race out. It's exactly the same as the wheel bearings. So I thought I'll use the old frame to practice on. And there's the actual ball bearing ones. Now, as I say, there is an upgrade with conical tapered roller bearings. All those ball bearings tend to pop out. It's only a plastic cage that's on that. Now, if you look at the bearing race, which is the top bearing race at the back, you'll see it has a blob on it. That was made by this. This is Frankenwelder. Now, many people would look at that and say, blinking heck, that is really dangerous. But I would stress that the health and safety officer here at Slick Enterprises has indeed passed that as being perfectly safe for use. So that really satisfies me because I trust him. Obviously, before signing it off, he gave me the certificate of electrical conformity, I think it's called, and then a copy of my will, a new will to sign, which I don't know why I did that. But anyway, I used that and then put blobs of weld. And I wanted to see what it would do to the frame. I'm going to do this on the new frame after it's been powder coated, you see. So I want to get the old racers out first. So I thought I'll practice. I can practice when the replacement frame turns up. I can remove these old racers. It's dead easy. Put a blob on there, and then you've got a purchase. Just tap it, and they come straight out. So well done, Frankenwelder. And there's the replacement ones. Now, I've checked with 2 or 3 sellers on eBay to cross-reference. I think it's always better to ask several people the same question and see what the consensus is. They all said, oh yes, this is an upgrade, straight in there. So I shall be fitting those to the new frame after it's been powder coated and after they've been in the fridge for quite some time. So there's the engine on the Oncelermobile Mark II in a different orientation, and it's by removing the sump and the inlet manifolds, it's easy to get the frame on. Although I bought a roll of corrugated cardboard and I'm going to wrap it up like a kind of Egyptian mummy with the strips of it all wrapped round and round. And I'll post an update. In the meantime, fortunately, I still have this beauty. Not the person on the bike. That is in fact me in disguise. I mean the bike. It's 25 years old, that. And it's a delight to drive, very fast, really nice. So I've got that in the meantime. So I will post again very soon with an update. I plan on putting the frame before and after powder coating, and then I'll do a series of short videos as I gradually put the bike back together, and you'll probably see one of me invoking the goodwill of all the gods that it will actually run at the end of it. If it doesn't, I'll tell you. So in the meantime, take care on your bikes in this awful weather, and I'll post again really soon. Bye for now.